What's good, everybody? You know what the deal is. It's the kids from the neighborhood knocking at your door, back with another episode. So, Bryce, my boy Kam. This episode, we're going to be touching on top 25 for the upcoming college football season. As you can see by my man's hoodie over here, you already know who he rocking with. He came prepared, so y'all can only imagine the BS he about to say about his team on this episode. But man,
yes, sir.
Like I said, man, we about to get into the top 25. They just dropped the official coaches preseason poll probably like 2 days ago. As of right now, it's August 10th. And man, let's get into it because college football, I think it's going to be an exciting year, but I think it's going to be one of them years where it's just like the top dogs, they in the college football playoff, man. And a lot of these other teams that got hype behind them, I don't believe in it. We're going to touch on a few of them, as you know. We gonna get to them. We gonna get to them. But we're going to start it off with the team who came in ranked in the number 25. That's the hometown team. Got the UH Cougars at 25, man. Got a new head coach. Well, not new head coach, but Dana Holgorsen took over the reins last year. Got the team turned around. They got a lot of talent this year. Might not be the year they break through, but definitely they got them pinpointed as a team that could be kind of like a Cincinnati, where it's a smaller school, but they could definitely make some noise if they do the right things. And if not this year, next year for sure, they could definitely break out. And I believe next year, that's when they go to the Big 12, if I'm not mistaken. Sadly enough, though, you know, they were going to the Big 12 to kind of get that Power 5 name behind the back, and then UT and OU out the door.
Yeah.
Two teams they really needed the competition for to make it into a thing like the college football playoff, man. But let's talk about them Houston boys, man.
Nah, man, they like you said, they should be one of those teams that can definitely break out this year. They got Clayton Tune back, the quarterback from last year. So I mean, you know, I could definitely see them breaking out. They like in the, you know, that division or that conference is not the best, but
oh yeah, for sure. And Cincinnati, I mean, Cincinnati probably still gonna be decent, but a lot of their talent from these past couple of years was they were just built up through that system, and they're all gone now. So I would expect them to, you know, fall off a little bit. So the conference is definitely Houston's for the taking, you know, like unless they slip up here or there, but they definitely should run that conference with no problems.
For sure. Nah, it should be very interesting, man. I think they should really make some noise this year. They really, they play Tech second game of the season. Other than that, I mean, they should really run through
They really don't got nothing. I'm looking at, they don't got anything. Like literally, it's just Texas Tech. And Texas Tech, at the end of the day, it's Texas Tech.
It's Texas Tech, yeah.
They shouldn't lose that game. And like I said, Dana Holgorsen, for those of you who don't know, he used to coach West Virginia, so he's well versed in facing the Big 12. I definitely think Houston should handle business versus Tech. And in AAC play, they lose to Memphis or SMU. That's just an upset. Like, and of course, it's any given day, any given Saturday. Talking about NFL, any given Sunday. You know, you don't show up and you just put them pads on and expect to go out there and win. You could definitely take an L at any moment. But if they go out there and they hitting on all cylinders, and even if they, you know, do have a little off game here or there, they should still be able to fully handle that conference. And I don't know, because of the strength of schedule in their conference, even if they were to go undefeated, it's kind of hard to make it into the college football playoff because, I mean, it took Cincinnati 2 years to finally break that bubble, and then
they really ain't want to put them in there too.
They didn't, but they had to.
They had to.
Then you put them in there, and it's like, I mean, it ain't their fault. They played Alabama, so I mean, we all knew what was gonna happen. But they got mollywopped by Bama, so now you know critics are just say, well, they don't deserve, these smaller schools don't deserve to be in the college football playoff, man. At this point, honestly, I would just say, fuck it. Like, make it 8 to 16 team bracket. Like, just give everybody room to get in there. Maybe shorten the season down a little bit so, they're not playing these players too much in consecutive weeks. But at this point, just make it like a mini NCAA March Madness bracket. That way, all the top teams from the respective conferences get their chance. And, from there, if they don't handle it, it is what it is. Because we probably still going to end up with the top dogs like the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Georgias at the end of the day. So just give these teams a shot. I mean, when the college football playoff first came about, people thought like, oh yeah, this is great. It's different from the BCS. Now you get 4 teams, but it's like we all knew this is what it was going to come down to. It's just going to be the 4 power conferences that's going to get the bids with whatever team comes out. And the SEC, they're so favored. A team with 2 losses can get in. So, it is what it is. You might as well just extend it to 8, maybe even 16 if you want to give a little bit more leeway for other teams. But yeah, man, I think Houston, they should handle their business. And we can move on to 24. We got an SEC team. Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin. Now, I don't know if you saw, but it just had me cracking up because it was back when Saban and Jimbo got into it over the NIL stuff. Lane Kiffin come out and says we really don't like it because it's just the best schools can pay the best players, and it's like, okay, for one, man, let's stop with all the hate. Yes, the best donors, the best programs, obviously gonna be able to pay their kids a little bit more, but then all these kids deserve their money, so the NIL definitely needs to be in place. Now, sure, they should probably go in and make a few regulations here and there, but that is not no excuse for the reason y'all can't be competitive in the SEC. Y'all can't be competitive because y'all just aren't that great of a team. They're definitely good. Don't get me wrong. Ole Miss is a good program, but they're not one of them great programs. They're just a middle of the pack team in the SEC that might be able to give Alabama a run for their money one year in that game. They might be able to give Georgia a run for their money in that game if they do play them, but they're never gonna really pull it out. And if they do upset one of them teams, they probably gonna lose a couple other games that they got no business losing. So they'll never be top dog in the SC. And it just is what it is, man. Like, don't hate the player, hate the game. Like, hey, the NIL, you gotta compete with the big dogs now, man. Like, them donors need to get in their pockets because that's what all these other teams doing. As I just said, Saban and Jimbo, the main them donors, they got great money. Now, their team not always great, which we'll touch on later.
We will touch on that.
We'll touch on that later.
But I got a lot to say about that.
I got a lot to say about them too. But man, like, hey, it's a whole new aspect to recruiting. So step your game up. Stop hating. Like, go get these players. You use your resources. Y'all can do it.
Exactly.
It's just the way you gotta market them.
Because it's like behind the scenes, we know Bama been doing this for years now, and so now, it's out there now. So why not just go ahead and do it? I mean, why not just go ahead and do it? Everybody's doing it, so why sit there and cry about it rather than just, like you said, use the resources and go out there and do it?
You said cry about it, like with Bama. Let's be honest, man. I'm willing to bet all of these programs been paying people under the table. And I'm not, sure. and when I say this, people, don't get me wrong, where I'm like bashing that. I fully support paying the players. I'm just saying, like, we're not finna sit up here and act like all of these college programs don't have donors in some of these players' pockets to try to get some of these best recruits. It is what it is. Everybody trying to get that edge over their opponent to win games. And so finally they just made it legal. So now we can know about it. But before the NIL was official, they was definitely paying these players under the table. And now that it's public and some of these bigger names get bigger sponsors, that's really why they got a problem with it. But man, it's just step your game up. But it is what it is, man.
Yeah, man. I was looking through the roster here, and I seen the kid from North Shore, the running back that went to TCU.
Stud.
Man, what? Zach Evans? Man, I just remember he like right before the high school championship game, coach kicked him out because he wouldn't give up his phone or something like that. Some crazy story.
Something crazy.
But yeah, nah, that kid a stud. I'm surprised Ole Miss got him. I didn't know where he went. Cause I know when we went to go see TCU versus UT, he was out there playing. He was the guy. And like, I don't know. He just transferred again. So we'll
Hey,
see
I
how
will
he do
say
on
that
this.
too. Like nowadays, with all these new rules stuff, it I mean, I respect it because like players will tell you nowadays, coaches can just get up and leave whenever they feel like it
Exactly.
with no penalty or remorse. Like, you see Lincoln Riley, he telling OU fans he here to stay. 2 days later, he out the door.
He's
Like
gone.
2 days after the season over with, he out the door to USC. And so I hate when fans or old heads try to say like, oh, these players they can't transfer, they need to stick it out and tough it out. Like that's what determines great play. Like some of these situations is not the right situation. And if that's the case, why are you gonna hold it against the kid? Like just let them transfer, get up out of there, and go to whatever school may please. Like at the end of the day, if they not, that guy, they not gonna be that guy at the new program. But you might as well give them the chance if you're not using them or it's not working out. Like coaches can do it, players should be able to do it too. So I'm really here for this next generation of football where it's not all of the power, but the players got a lot more power now and a lot more say so with NIL and the new transfer rules. So I'm happy for them. And I hope Zach Evans ball out, honestly, because I do remember just seeing some highlights from him, just watching the North Shore games where like I might catch some of the clips off the news. I'm like, this dude is a beast. Cause I think at one point, like, was he committed to A&M or he was heavily thinking about A&M or something?
I think so, but I think at first he was coming to, I think he was going to Georgia at first, and then the news came out, and then I think they took away his offer or whatever, and then he only had like TCU left. TCU still wanted him, so he went to TCU, and yeah, I think that's what happened actually.
I just remember, because obviously we the people we grew up with, there's a lot of A&M people. I just remember them being on Twitter trying to, oh, come here. I'm like, man, you better not go there.
Damn man,
But yeah, man, I still don't know to this day what that whole situation was about him getting kicked out or get kicked out right before the state championship game.
Right.
I hope whatever problems it is, those are resolved themselves and he got a fresh start with Ole Miss. I wish nothing for the best, but the best for him. And I hope he ball out. But like I said, Ole Miss and the SEC, I don't expect too much. They probably get a solid 7, 8, 7 to 9 wins, somewhere in there. But other than that, they're not about to contend with the big dogs. I don't think so. And neither will number 23 on the list, who's also in the SEC. They got Arkansas. Another team, Arkansas, they definitely were kind of in a rebuild for these last couple years, but they definitely got it together. They just lost one of their best receivers to Tennessee this year. The Browns replacement Burks, but they've definitely turned the program around. They've been doing things. Still probably a couple years out from. I don't even know what you want to call real contention, because at the end of the day, it's just like, Alabama and Georgia gonna be there. And now Texas A&M, Texas A&M just had the best recruiting class this year, and I think they're top 3 or if not 1 for next year's class as well already. So they're definitely just falling behind. Like, so it's hard to say if they in like real contention or not, but top 25, there's nothing to be mad about. That's still a good program. It's just not gonna cut it in the SEC. And like I said earlier, 2025, you got OU and Texas coming. That's 2 more teams that are probably gonna be better than teams like Ole Miss and Arkansas on a year in, year out basis. So
for sure. They still got KJ Jefferson though. I don't know if everyone don't be watching his games, but man, that guy's exciting to watch. One of those big quarterbacks, but yeah, like you said, Arkansas, they not really like not turning heads. They not about to. They could upset one of those 2 teams, but really, most likely, they not gonna do that. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Moving on to 22. Team we were just talking about in the AAC, Cincinnati, coming off probably their best year ever in their program history. Made it to the college football playoff. Had an undefeated season up until they faced Bama, but they lost a lot of talent. Like, it is what it is. Now they definitely still have some talent in place, but as far as repeating what they did last year, that's more than likely not going to happen. And it's probably going to be them in Houston again for the AAC conference title. That game could go either way. And probably the winner that I see them probably getting one of the New Year's Six bowl games.
Probably
So
so.
it ain't nothing to be ashamed about. But
Not at all.
until they really, like we're saying, until they really kind of expand the college football playoff, which I hope they end up doing, a lot of these teams just not going to get the chance. And they're also a team that's slated to move to the Big 12. But like I said, it's weird now because all these teams are just trying to move every which way. None of the conferences make sense anymore. You got Pac-12 teams wanting to go to the East Coast. East Coast teams wanting
Really
to go
makes
to
sense.
the West Coast and play in the Pac-12. None of this shit makes sense whatsoever. But Cincinnati and UH, and I think it's one other team I'm missing that's moving into the Big 12. But it's like with OU and Texas out, I don't know how much like recognition or power they get from making that move at this point now. Because OU and Texas were kind of like the teams where it's like, if you go to the Big 12 and you can beat them, then it's like, okay, we kind of have to respect you a little bit more and you have a better chance of making the playoff. Now it's like last year was the Cinderella run, and you see what happened when you face Big Dog in Alabama. So it's kind of tough for them. It's kind of tough for them, to say the least.
Yeah, it'll be kind of tough, but Big 12, I don't know, man. Like, it's gonna fall off a bit, but I mean, you still got teams like Baylor and Oklahoma State in there, and then TCU getting guys every now and then. But I mean, it still won't be like you said, like you got UT and OU there. They've been running things since, well, OU been running things since a
Yeah,
while now. So,
and we'll touch on them soon. I don't even know about them this year. Like, we got Venables, and he's a great defense coach, so I think he'll turn it around. But as far as this being his first year and the talent we did lose because of the whole Lincoln Riley situation, I don't know. But like I said, we'll touch on that. We'll touch on that. But Cincinnati, they do have, like I said, they do got a couple key players returning. They're probably their best player or most touted NFL draft prospect. Their center Jake Renfro returning, solid offensive lineman. He'll probably, like I say, he'll probably be taken pretty high in next year's draft, or probably not necessarily lottery pick, but he'll be a solid pick for somebody who needs offensive line help. They also returned their start linebacker Deshaun Pace Jr., who had 95 tackles last year, 9.5 tackles for loss. So it's talent on the roster.
mhm.
And like I say, it's probably going to be between them and Houston unless one of them just ends up dropping a few games they have no business dropping. But as far as making it back and repeating what they did last year, that's it's not gonna happen. Like, I won't say 100% sure, but I'm 99% sure that's not gonna happen. Sorry to any Cincy fans out there if you listen, but hey, that team last year, that was a great team. I'm not gonna lie. And some of them players, they're probably gonna ball out in the NFL. I'm excited for them.
So,
But as far as repeating that, yeah, not doing it. Next up, coming in at 21, got Kentucky.
another SEC team. Jesus.
Another SEC team. Like SEC, I mean, I feel like let's just talk about it. Let's just open it up, because any college football fan are most gonna say, the SEC is just the best conference in football. And is it the best conference in football? Or do they just have the best two teams year in and year out? With one of those being Alabama is set in stone. And then it's it kind of rotates. Right now it's Georgia. Georgia been doing their thing these past couple years. 2019, you had the all-time great LSU team.
LSU. Yeah.
For that, it used to be kind of Florida was in that mix a little bit, especially when they had Tebow and them boys back then. But like, as far as the overall conference, the SEC doesn't necessarily like me personally, because a lot of times the Big 12 matches up with them in some of these bowl games, and the Big 12 be getting wins, is as few as well as some of these other schools that match up with the SEC. Like, I'm tired of people hyping up the SEC as if it's like this big and bad football conference all across the board. Like, no, Alabama is probably the greatest dynasty in college football of all time, and now you got Georgia running things as well. And like I said before that, it's just another SEC team. Like top of the conference, yes, they're the best. But as far as like throughout the whole conference, man, the teams aren't that great. Like they're good, but they're not great as people make it seem. And so like I understand, of course, why all these teams would be ranked inside the top 25. But by the time the season ends, a lot of these teams probably not going to be in the top 25, are still hovering in the same spot they're picked in right now in the preseason poll. And Kentucky's another one of them teams. They're going to be a good team, but they're probably going to lose about 3-4 games. And that's going to keep them out of contention for competing in the SEC championship. So it's like, am I really going to sit up here and hype them up? No.
No.
Alabama and Georgia, the only teams, and A&M now that really garner any real respect in that conference this season, at least.
And if you like really like think about it, like the SEC when they kids get ready to go to the NFL, some of them don't be ready. And like some of them don't stay in the league that long. And so it's just I don't know, SEC, like you said, it is a bunch of hype. They got some of them great teams. Sometimes Auburn might come out of nowhere and just be one of the great teams.
It's just always like one team that might be okay. Y'all good this year in Alabama, always good. But as far as the overall conference, I'm talking overall conference for y'all who probably shaking y'all head right now. Overall, the SEC is not that great. Now, if you just want to say, oh, well, we're winning the championships, yes, because like I said, you have Alabama, and then there's usually always a second team. It's probably good. But as far as the conference in its entirety, no. Like Kentucky, I said 3-4. Kentucky probably finished 7-5. Like, are they still a good team? Probably so. But 7-5, they're gonna be in a bottom tier bowl game, and they might mess around and lose. Matter of fact, I just want to look it up just cause. What was the SEC's bowl record last year? They were 6-8 in bowl games last year. Like, and I get it. They'll be like, okay, well, Georgia and Alabama were in the national championship. Yes, that's the two great teams. Yes, I'll give y'all that. But as far as the conference goes, no, y'all aren't that good.
Yeah, there's other great conferences out there, man.
It is, and I can't wait to get to the top 10 of all this, because that's when we're gonna start touching on some of these other ones who be making excuses like that for the conference. Like, oh, the conference is really great. Like, and you already know what I'm talking about. But we go get to that, man. We go get to that, man. So at 20, finally switched it up. We got a Big Ten team. Got Wisconsin. Wisconsin is always a solid football team. They're usually always in contention for the Big Ten, but it just depends on if Ohio State is really the powerhouse that year or not.
Yeah.
Like, that's really what that boils down to. Last year, Ohio State just had a terrible defense, and they still were right there because that boy CJ Stroud, he cold. Heisman watch. Man. Hey, if we sprinkling money for Heisman, I'm gonna touch on it later, but man, I want to keep CJ Stroud on your board, man. But last year Michigan finally cracked through. Harbaugh finally was able to make it to his first college football playoff, and then you see what they did. They got smacked on the other side of the bracket by Georgia, man. But Wisconsin, number 20, they probably, I'm looking at their schedule, they probably finish 9-3, maybe 10-2. That might get them into the Big Ten championship game, but it's just like I opened the podcast, man. This year, it just really feel like we're just in for one of those years where it's like, oh, it's them again in the
Teams,
playoffs.
yeah,
Like
honestly.
it ain't really too many surprises I see, and there definitely could be surprises come football season because it could be injuries or it could be like a year where Auburn just breaks out of nowhere because they got a player like Cam Newton. It could be one of those stories somewhere, but coming out of Wisconsin,
Usually is.
nah, I don't see it happening for Wisconsin. So, what do you want to say about them?
I mean, there's not really much to say, but like maybe they just break out of nowhere and do something, but it's like I don't know, like I don't really see it. And like you said, looking at their schedule, they'll probably lose about 2 or 3 games. I think for sure when used to Ohio should lose to Ohio State unless they upset them. I think I see another loss to Michigan State. And then maybe I mean Iowa been good for these past couple of years. They've been good, so I'm thinking like maybe Iowa too. So they gotta go to Iowa. They got like a nice little schedule. They gotta go to Ohio State, to Michigan State, to Iowa. So I don't know. It should be interesting.
Yeah, and they open the season with, I mean, not to say cupcakes, but some cupcakes. They got Illinois State, Washington State, New Mexico State. They should win all three of those games, no problem. They're all at home. Then that
Mhm.
fourth week, they better hope they're all tuned up and ready to go and kind of worked out all the edges, smoothed out all the edges of their team. Because that fourth week they travel to Ohio State, and unless they just pull up, that would probably be one of the biggest upsets of the year to go into the horseshoe
Oh yeah, for sure.
and get a dub like that. But I don't see that happening. So they're probably losing that game. And like I said,
Oh,
they got to go to Michigan State as well. Like all the best Big Ten teams they're gonna face this year, it's away games.
mm-hmm.
Unless they just cut out like that, they're not about to win all of those games. So
I will say this though, they always keep them a running back.
they do. That's what I was gonna say. I meant to open on that. Now, if there's one thing you're gonna find at Wisconsin, it's gonna be a great running game.
Great running game.
Melvin Gordon still doing his thing in the league
For
today.
sure.
Jonathan Taylor, like they might have an argument for at least this past decade being running back
RBU.
you
Yeah.
on some stuff. Like they gonna keep a running back for sure. And of course they still do it. Have some dogs on the defensive end that come out there. They got your boys, the Watt
Yes,
brothers.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they definitely balling out. But as far as being the program that, you know, just gets over the top, they haven't made the college football playoff ever. And I don't think they ever will anytime soon unless
They
they
expand.
expand it and they're able to get in that way. But as far as getting in straight up, it's just one of them teams where it's like, oh, you might get the upset versus Ohio State this year, but then you gonna mess around and probably lose to Northwestern or Purdue on some stupid stuff. So they just can't ever get the perfect season, and that's not gonna change this year either. So at 19, it's kind of surprised. I I they haven't been on my radar at least these past few years. They got Wake Forest at 19. So I don't know what Wake Forest got cooking up.
Yeah, me neither.
But
No clue.
I mean this is the preseason AP college coaches poll. So this means the coaches voted on this. So the coaches think Wake Forest might be able to make a little bit of noise this year. And I mean, they're in the ACC. They're the ACC, and I don't even we'll touch on it later because they got Clemson at what, 3 or 4?
4, I think.
I'm not even sure Clemson is that great this year again. But if there's anybody in the ACC, it's Clemson. That's about it. Pitt was a
Mhm.
good team, but they just lost their star quarterback Pickett to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Funny enough, it's going to be hard to replace that. Virginia Tech's usually somewhat decent. Miami, they got Oregon's old coach now, And all the Oregon fans keep telling, I see it on Twitter, they keep telling Miami fans, like, yeah, y'all think y'all got to still, like, y'all going to be mad when y'all see how horrible he is. It's sad to see, you know, what the U has become, because they used to be a team to be like, that put fear in people's hearts. Like, you see them on the schedule, like, damn, we got to play Miami this year. And, like, they've had a few decent
Not
years
that no more.
in the past, like, 10 seasons or so, but it's never been like, oh, it's the U. Like, it's never been like that anymore. And I don't know if you keep up with, I want to say it was I Am Athletes podcast. They just had on Ontrell Roll the other day. And even he was saying, he was like, man, I don't even go back to Miami anymore. Like, that program is not what it used to be, and there's nothing I can respect anymore. Like, they don't have the dogs anymore that just, you know, that garner respect out of everybody in the college football world. He's like, and for that, I can't go back there because it's just not the same as what I came up with. And he was like, he was talking about, like, you know, back in the day when they had Ed Reed and all them, they blowing the team out. That second string come in, they shutting that team out. That second string better not let them score a touchdown. They don't care if it's second string. They playing, they start, like, you better not give up a touchdown or let them score and ruin this perfect game. Like, or in the locker room, we gonna have some problems. Like, it's not that type of you no more. And I even saw a funny report on ESPN the other week. I guess they're getting rid of their little turnover chain.
Yeah, I picked that.
So new coach staff said, no, we're not doing all that extra stuff. So we'll see how they perform. But coming out the ACC, man, like, it should be, they should be able to win some games because, like I said, there's not too many good teams. But at the end of the day, that's probably Clemson's conference to lose. Last year they slipped up and they lost, but they were dealing with a lot of injuries, and their quarterback isn't. I still don't think he's that good. So, like I said, we'll touch on them later. But Miami, man, it's not the U. Like,
it's
that
not the
simple.
same
It's that
anymore.
simple. It's not the U.
It's not the same at all.
Man. Coming in at 18. I just give the mic to you. I just give the mic to you, man.
Man, me personally, that's kind of a little low, man. Kind of a little low.
If y'all can't figure it out by now, if y'all are listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple, I'm sorry, y'all can't see it, but my boy right now is repping his UT hoodie as I mentioned when we opened up the podcast, man. Hook 'em,
man, hook 'em.
They got that boy Quinn Ewers.
Yes, sir.
It's supposed to be his year, is what I hear, man.
Hey man, look.
Talk about your boys, man.
Look, man. Hey man, look. We gonna surprise a lot of people this year. I know I say this every year. I say this every year.
I'm not gonna lie. This man be about this every. No, bro. Like, we got OU number this shit. Like, this year we gonna win the Big 12. We back. Look, Sam Ellinger, we're back.
We're back.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Definitely
last year I heard this man. Nah, like, we got Sarkisian. Like, we finna be cold. They lost to fucking Kansas. These boys lost to Kansas in college football, man. But man, I'm gonna stop ragging on them from now, man. Talk about your team. Man.
Nah, man. Okay, it might not be this year, but seeing what Coach Sark is doing, man, seeing him just build up this program, seeing him just bring guys in. I mean, I like what he's doing. Like you said, we got Quinn on the roster now. We finally got a real quarterback. Like, I feel like he's like a real quarterback. He should have been over here. I don't know why he chose Ohio State over us.
Yeah,
but
people thought CJ Stroud, like, that was kind of just gonna be a placeholder and Quinn was gonna take a spot. Nah,
hell no.
CJ was balling. He was not getting that spot anytime soon. So, like we mentioned earlier, glad he was able to transfer and maybe, hopefully, you know, show what he is capable of. But I mean, he better get it together.
He definitely better get it together.
Because Arch Manning coming through.
But see, the thing with that is, like, I think we might, surprisingly, I don't think Arch gonna come in and just. I hope he don't come in and just start right off the bat. I feel like he should maybe not be he should be redshirted. Let him redshirt first. Let Quinn come in, get his couple of years in, and then you bring out Arch like that. I don't want Arch to, like, just come in and like and he looks bad, and everybody just bashing him like that. I want him to come in. I want him to be good, and I want us to build up that O line for him to to be safe and actually be good. But I mean, when we did sign Arch, oh my God, it was the Manning
Happy
effect.
early Christmas.
Yeah, it was the Manning effect. Like everybody started all the commissions kept on coming. I was like, whew, that's the Manning effect right there though. But now I'm like, we got some
I got some
guys on
some
the
dogs. I will say,
yeah.
y'all probably have the best, if not one of the best, two best three running backs in all of college football.
Oh, for sure.
Bijan Robinson, he's nice. I can't lie. He was garnering some Heisman attention last year, and then I think he got like banged up a little bit,
Banged
and then
up. Yeah.
UT obviously kind of fell off as the year went on. But hey, that boy, he gonna run through a tackle, and he got some speed to him at 6 foot, 220 pounds. He definitely might be Big 12 Player of the Year if y'all play it right. How you thinking they gonna play? So, and this year, I don't know. It's a whole new, Red River game. If there was one year, because y'all been kind of tripping. Y'all should have got us last year.
Yeah, last year was the year.
Y'all should have got us
But
last year. I'm not gonna lie.
that boy Kayla Williams is cold. That's all
Taylor
I'm gonna
went,
say.
boy.
He's the
I
truth.
I was so upset to see him go when Lincoln Riley went. I was like, dang, like I thought we was gonna be able to keep him, but
Hey, you heard it here next. He's the next great quarterback. I'm telling you, that kid, he can ball,
he
bro.
can ball. And
He can make every pass. He be making them Pat Mahomes passes, bro. Like
yeah, and
he one of them.
they got the transfer from Pitt, the top wide receiver. I can't think of his
Mm-hmm.
name, but he
No,
gonna
you
be
talking
down there
about?
USC with him. So we gonna touch on UC because they on the list. They just higher up in the rankings. But yeah, man, he's a dog. But as far as Tex goes, like I feel like y'all could sneakily potentially, and it's gonna pay me to say that y'all could sneak up and maybe win the Big 12 this year, or being like heavily contention or in heavy contention for the Big 12. I'm not saying that's gonna happen because we've been trying to say Texas back for years now. Yeah, it just never worked out this way. But
Never.
maybe finally riding the ship. That was Sarkisian first year, so I guess we'll cut off some slack. Even though, like I said, losing to Kansas, I don't know how much slack he's gonna cut for that. But he's in his second year now. He got his recruits in, and next year I think y'all are already in the. I think y'all are like number 4 as of right now for that recruiting class of 2023. So y'all definitely turning it around. So I mean, I'm excited to see. It might finally be some real rivalry,
Hope so.
competition in the Big 12 again.
It's literally all it is. It's our defense. That's all it is. Our offense is literally okay every year. Offense literally put up numbers every single year. It's really just the defense. The defense can never get it going. If for some reason the defense, the DBs, could just they always burnt toast. They always get burnt toast. It's just
And look, I definitely know how that feels because OU should have been able to make it to a championship game, but they defense just never can seal the deal. That what was it, 2017, where they lost the Rose Bowl to Georgia? That was the year.
Yeah, what's the year?
Because Alabama was Alabama, but they were kind of weak that year, and that was the year of any to get them. And Georgia was whooping them that whole championship game until they put in Tua, and he saved the day. But if it was one year to get it, that definitely would have been the year. And they choked it because the defense. I think what OU put up like 48, and they lost 50-48. I think I want to say. So it's like you give up 50 points, you score 48, and so you lose the game because your defense just literally can't get stops when it counts. But yeah, man, I'm excited for the Red River game. We definitely gonna have a wager on that game when that come around.
Oh,
So
for
we
sure.
gonna come on the podcast with whatever we set up. But y'all for sure can lock that in that me and this man will be betting each other versus that game. And
For sure, for
speaking
sure.
of, I want to shout out my little sister. She actually just left for OU Tuesday. So she a boomer sooner now. So now I really got a reason to go to some games, and hopefully I do go to a Red River game over these next couple years, so I can
That'd be
see it in
lit.
person. The whoop down that we gonna put on the Texas.
Nah, man, that'd be lit, bro.
But at 17, we got the team we was just talking about in the
Just talking
ACC,
about.
Miami. Now they like I said, they got a new coach. So it's like, maybe he can help turn some things around. But Mario Cristobal, if y'all don't know, old head coach of Oregon, they he's a decent coach. It didn't pan out in Oregon, but at the same time, Oregon messed up when it's not really their fault, but when Chip Kelly left for the NFL, that was kind of the end of Oregon's dominance. Like, they're even ranked higher this year, but I still don't really expect nothing out of them because them years, like it's never. I don't think it's them golden years where they had like the Marcus Mariota, LaMichael James in the backfield, DeAnthony Thomas.
Yeah.
Like it's not them years anymore, and they always got the best uniforms.
Oh, always.
Oregon always got the best uniforms.
You,
That's
you
no
know who
debate.
you know
That's
who
no debate.
right there next door to
Yeah,
him?
they
Right there
right there
next
at the
door.
Nike headquarters, so they always got the best uniforms. But
Mm-hmm.
get Mario Cristobal from Oregon. He was born Miami, played there in Miami, so it's always good to be back home. So maybe that might help him out a little bit. But they went 7-5 last year, so they got stuff to build on. But like I said, man, they're not gonna do anything for real. Like, and say they do luck out and they come out of the ACC somehow, some way, they would just get waxed by whoever in the playoff game because that's probably gonna be an Alabama or a Georgia. So I don't expect too much out of them. They open up the season at Bethune Cookman, HBCU. That's a pancake game. Not to knock on Bethune Cookman, but like they should definitely win that game.
We know why they there.
Yeah, Bethune Cookman gonna get a nice little check out of that game.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
you know how that go. And then Southern Mississippi next. That should be a good game. Then they got to go to College Station. I'm not gonna lie, Texas A&M probably gonna whoop the bleep out of them. Like I'm not, like I don't think Miami ready for that. And then Middle Tennessee the next week. Like I said, Virginia Tech usually somewhat decent, so they'll have to go travel to them. And at the end of the season, they got to go to Clemson. So even if they lose to Clemson, I want to say they're on opposite sides of the ACC, are they not?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So even if let's say they were to luck out and probably beat Clemson, I think that's probably the only game on Clemson's schedule that they will probably lose. So they would probably end up just facing them again in the ACC championship, and hell would have to freeze over before they beat Clemson twice in the
Oh
season.
yeah, for
I don't
sure.
think that's happening with them anytime soon, man. But that's Miami for you. And number 16 got Pittsburgh, another ACC team. Like I said, they lost Pickett, so they're gonna have to obviously replace that. He had been a starter for like 2-3 years there, put up some pretty good numbers. Had them as they were a pretty good team last year. They won the ACC if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, they did.
They won the ACC last year. But losing your quarterback, it's gonna be hard to come in and replace that, especially when he's been the guy for some years.
Yeah,
But
no, I'm surprised that they actually this high.
yeah, I'm surprised to see that too. But like I said, hey, this is the coaches, so they the ones who vote on it. Maybe they know something we don't. But let me pull up Pittsburgh's schedule real quick. They open the season with West Virginia. That might be a little tough of a game just because West Virginia, they're not necessarily always good, but they'll battle you. So I still expect them to win that. It's at home. Then they got Tennessee. Tennessee, not too bad of a team either. SEC team. Western Michigan, Rhode Island, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. I don't think their problems really come for real until towards the end of the season. They got to start traveling. They got Louisville, at North
Mm-hmm.
Carolina. They still got your guy Mac Brown. So that's a good football coach. He gonna have a solid team. Last year they kind of fell off,
Always.
but I expect him to have them boys competing at UNC. Then they finished the season at Miami. So that might be one of them games who determine like who really gets the chance to face Clemson. Or let me see, I might be mistaken. They might be on the same side. Let me see real quick.
North Carolina upset somebody last year, huh? Or am I tripping? I feel like I think they almost no, yeah, they upset Wake Forest. I know that's off subject, but yeah, they
Okay.
upset Wake Forest.
Okay. And like
I
I said,
sworn that
Wake
game.
Forest is also in the top 25. So the middle of the pack teams in the top 25 sitting all in that AFC or not AFC, the ACC conference. And Pitt, like I said, so I was correct. Pitt and Miami, that last game of the season, for them, that's probably gonna be deciding like who gets a chance to play Clemson in the ACC title game. So
Yeah.
that'll probably have a lot on the line that game. And it's they're at or let me see. They're they're at Miami for that one. So Miami gonna have the home field advantage. I don't know how much of a factor that will play into it, but Miami might take that one. So they won't get a chance to defend their ACC crown. But right, what was it, 17, 16? Like, it's not too bad. It's just like they're not gonna do nothing. They're ranked
Yeah.
16, like not gonna do nothing for real.
We
Coming in at 15.
know who the top guys are, man.
Yeah, man. We're finna get into the top guys. We're gonna kind of speed through some of these next come up teams, but 15, man.
Got
The
your
talk of
boys,
the
man.
nation, man. Talk
Your
of the nation.
boys. Top
Yeah,
on,
if
man.
y'all been keeping up with college football, y'all know USC signed Lincoln Riley. Couple days after the season, pretty much after Lincoln Riley sold OU, because we definitely should have beat Oklahoma State that last game and made it to the Big 12 championship game because we were up. And then, I mean, he's supposed to be the offensive mastermind. He was calling some bogus plays to end that game, but that's another discussion for another day. Takes his tail to USC, brings along half the team with him, all the coaches. They should be decent. They're in the Pac-12, so it's not that strong of a conference. I would expect, they got Kayla Williams, and I would say he's probably gonna be the starter if I do say so myself.
No, he better be.
Yeah, he should be the starter. But coming out the Pac-12, say they are able to come out the Pac-12 this year, and it would probably, you know, be the first. I think that's the first team would be the first team to make it to the college football playoff since Washington was good back in like 2017, 2018, I think, when they had to face Bama.
Mm-hmm.
Do I expect Lincoln Riley to do anything different than he did with OU when he gets to the college football playoff?
Nope.
Hell no. Like, it's gonna be the same result.
Same
Like,
result.
they're not gonna be cut out to face a team like Alabama, especially over there in the Pac-12. Like, they're not getting none of that competition.
Not at all.
The Pac-12 just been weak these past couple years, and I still don't see them being any stronger this year. Even though they got USC at 15, they got Oregon a little higher coming up. But like, am I still giving them any respect? No. Now, as far as what they're used to, like I know it's been a struggle since Pete Carroll left, and they had that dynasty back in the early 2000s. They might, be putting up some numbers. Like Lincoln Riley gonna have the offense working. They're probably gonna be putting up hella points, but when it comes down to it, I still don't see them as a real threat. And maybe it's not this year, maybe next year, because now, like with NIL, USC, you out in LA, that's a big market to have some money. And now you got a top head coach like Lincoln Riley. He'll probably be able to bring in some top players, and they'll probably be able to get paid. So it'll be interesting to see how they turn out over these next couple years. But as far as this year, I say 15 is probably a good ranking for them. They'll probably be a good team at best.
Mm-hmm.
Might be able to make it back to a New Year's Six bowl. Might win the Pac-12. Who knows if they can beat Oregon? But as far as competing for a national championship right off the bat, no, I
No,
don't
I don't
see.
see it.
And they're probably still gonna have problems with the defensive side of the ball
Yeah,
because
I
a
was just
Lincoln
gonna say
Riley
that.
team always gonna have defensive problems. I don't care who he got.
It's like he don't even care about the defense.
Yeah. We can outscore you, yeah, until you get to the college football playoff. And
When
you
it
can't
matters.
outscore people anymore. Like, come on, man. Next up, got Michigan State. Another one of them teams we are talking about that's probably going to be just a tough team out of the Big Ten, even though Ohio State probably still makes it out of there. And I like the head coach, and I like what Michigan State got last year. They were they weren't the best team in Michigan. Michigan, finally did what they were supposed to do for years now with Harbaugh.
Yeah,
But
finally.
yeah, but Michigan State, man, they have potential to be in the thick of things. Now, whether or not they're able to capitalize on that, that's left to be seen. They start off with Western Michigan, Akron. That's 2 easy dubs. They got to travel to Washington, so that might be a tough game on the road. But I still think they'll probably win that. Then they got Minnesota, Maryland, another 2 wins I think they get. Then they got Ohio State at home. Now, because they're at home, I'll give them, probably a 30-40% chance to get the upset. Because they always play them tough. And the fact they're at home, like momentum, all it takes is one good momentum swing, or they just,
Exactly.
come out swinging. They might be able to knock them off. But if they do beat Ohio State, then they got to travel to Michigan a few weeks later. And it's like, I don't see them coming out of those 2 games 2-0. They're going to split it or lose both of them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like pick your poison in my eyes. And then they finish the season at Penn State, and they probably drop that one because Penn State's usually a good team as well. So
they got a 3-headed snake. Those 3 games: Ohio State, Wisconsin, and then gotta go to Michigan. Jesus,
yeah, like that's gonna be a tough stretch. So like a lot of these teams, like they'll get their little gimme games in at the beginning of the season, but they better tune up whatever kinks they got and smooth them out because they got some rough stretches, and that's for the Big Ten. That's a rough 3-game stretch.
That's a rough 3-game stretch because that can go like
You
that
can
go
easily
very
go
ugly.
0-3.
0-3,
You can
literally.
easily go 0-3 on that
Like
one.
that can get ugly very, very quick.
And you go 0-3. I mean, if you lose one of those games, let alone 2, your college football playoff dreams out the door. But you lose 3 of them,
Kiss that shit goodbye.
Your Big Ten championship game dreams are probably out the door because they got Ohio State and Michigan on their side of the bracket. So the only one where it's like it might not affect them as much as if they lose to Wisconsin, but they're able to still beat Ohio State and Michigan. But like I said, I don't see them being able to win both of those games, and maybe not even one of those games. So yeah, that's definitely they're gonna make or break their season, that 3-game stretch right there. And they do mess around and lose them 3 games. You'll probably find them outside of the top 25 after that.
So. Yeah, probably so. Unless they play all 3 teams like very, very close. But other than that, yeah.
Next up, another surprising team out of the AC. They got North Carolina
Very
State
surprising.
at 13.
The hell?
I
don't know.
I don't even really know what to say about North Carolina State. I miss seeing them on the list. I don't even know what they got. Let me look at them real quick.
Maybe they got like a good defense or something.
I feel like it's probably like they've had talent that's kind of come up throughout the years, and now they all upperclassmen. So it's kind of like they got experience over some of the other teams, so they should be able to do a little something. But and I got this college football news site up, and they have their own power rankings. They got North Carolina State at 8 on their power rankings, and they predict them to go 10-2.
Damn, who they got?
That's what I was saying. They go 10-2. They gonna be. I mean, for them it's tough because they're on Clemson side, so it's like they're on the Atlantic side of the ACC.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to beat Clemson if they want to make it to the ACC championship. Or they're gonna, if they lose to Clemson, they're gonna have to hope Clemson drops some other games here or there, so they still, can make it in. But they got him at number 8, man. Like, star player Peyton Wilson, linebacker, so that's a name to keep a lookout for. Schedule, they got an easy schedule. I already said, the ACC not really a tough conference to me. It's just really Clemson year in, year out.
Mm-hmm.
And last year they just fell off all the way. They got East Carolina first, Charleston Southern, Texas Tech, UConn. That's 4 winnable games. They got to play at Clemson, so
It's gonna be tough.
like that's gonna be tough in Death Valley. Like, and I think we'll touch on Clemson, but like their defense probably is top 5 again this year if they're able to stay healthy. That offense, I don't know, but the defense, that's definitely gonna be hard to put up some points in Death Valley on that team. Now they definitely, like, people are saying, they got talent obviously and they should have a good defense, but they did lose Venables to OU. I don't know how much of a factor that plays in how good their defense is, because he's an excellent defensive coordinator, and I'm hoping now that finally OU will have some defense to go with some offensive firepower, especially if we're gonna make this move to the SEC in the next couple of years, because we're gonna need it. But after that, Clemson, they go Florida State, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, Boston College, at Louisville, at North Carolina. So they're gonna finish the season on the road. In North Carolina, that's the rivalry game, and they got to go to UNC. So it wouldn't be surprise me if they somehow drop that game just because UNC
Yeah.
gonna come out swinging,
Oh yeah,
and
you know
especially if
Mac
they,
gonna have
they
gonna
gonna
have
have
them
them
boy.
ready.
Yeah.
And if they ranked high, it's gonna be a packed crowd, and they're gonna be making some noise, ready to give them that upset loss. But yeah, man, they got North Carolina State at 13, man,
That shit crazy.
and now number 12, team I was mentioning earlier, coldest uniforms in the game.
Oh yeah, hands down, not even a question.
They can't never live up to that. They had that one year where they made it to the national championship game, but then they got dubbed by Ohio State. And that was when they had Mariota. So that was like all the way back to 2012. Ever since, Oregon is not that great of a program, in my personal opinion. And I got a few frat brothers that are Oregon fans. I don't know if they listen to this, but if they do, they probably gonna have something to say to me. But I don't think they're that good of a program. And as far as like I said, Pac-12 super weak in my opinion. They haven't even been able to really just win the Pac-12 like that these past couple years. I wouldn't expect anything from them. Like, say they do come out the Pac-12, I don't think they're not ready at all for what they would face in the college football playoff whatsoever. So for that reason, I can't really put them too high up. And they opened the
Wow.
season with Georgia. And I know Georgia has lost a lot of that talent from last year's team, but
I mean,
Kirby
Georgia is
Smart
Georgia.
he's got that program rolling now. Like, they're good consistently year in, year out. And it's one of those teams, I think, where at this point they're always going to be in contention unless, they get upset here or there. But they go to Georgia, and it's not at Georgia. It's at the Mercedes-Benz Dome. But that's a Georgia home game. Georgia's probably going to wax Oregon. I'm not going to lie. So you can't really knock them because Georgia is the defending national champion and they're ranked number 3 in this poll. So they will have a redemption, like a journey or a chance for redemption, but they literally would have to win every single game moving forward from that. Like I said, they could definitely do that. They don't have to play USC unless they would meet each other in the Pac-12 championship. But other than that, nobody on their schedule should give them too many problems. So they might finish the season like 10-1, 10-2, maybe. But that's not going to get them into the college football playoff. But they do have a star linebacker, and his brother's actually in the NFL right now as an offensive line. But they got Noah Sewell, star linebacker. He coming into his sophomore year, so he'll probably be the highlight player for them. But like I said, that first game is rough.
Yeah.
Like Georgia,
It's a rough ass
it's probably
game.
gonna be one of them games where Georgia
Start off.
stomps a hole in them. I think. Like, I don't see them being competitive in that game. Now I'm hoping because it's opening weekend, it will be a competitive game. But me personally, I think Georgia is really about to run the tables on them. But like I said, they could definitely win out moving forward. But then it comes to the point where it's like, what do the college football playoff voters think about the Pac-12 and how strong of a conference it is? And will that garner like putting Oregon into the college football playoff if they, just balling out at that point? But first game, an L for sure. I'll lock that in. I don't even know what the odds are, but
Lock it in.
I'll lock that in. I'll throw Georgia in a parlay or something. They winning that one for sure. But after that, they could definitely win every game for the rest of their season. But then it would just be like they would be set up for disappointment because then you get to the college football playoff. You're probably gonna face a team like Georgia again or Alabama. You're not beating them. So
wax.
Next up, number 11. The biggest chokers in the Big 12.
Ooh, let's talk about it. Jesus
Oklahoma
Christ.
State, man. Because last year they finally get over the hump. They beat OU. And then they lose the Big 12 championship game. They would have had a legitimate argument to make it into the college football playoff had they not lost the Big 12 championship game.
Literally, bro. And they got that game too.
They did. And I was pissed because after they beat OU, all of their fans are talking the most trash on Twitter. Like, yeah, like this our year. Like we finally beat y'all. Like we headed to the playoff, completely overlooking Baylor. And then they go and lose. And Gundy, like, he's a good coach. Don't get me wrong, but he's not a coach that's ever gonna get them over the hump. I'm sorry to say it, Oklahoma State fans, if there's any listening, but he's not that guy. He can always have you as a good, decent team, but when it comes to winning them primetime games, he not gonna get you there. Oklahoma State always has some good players here and there to go into the league, but as far as being the best team, nah, they're not gonna do that. They do return their quarterback Sanders this year, so that's good for them. They have a nice little wide receiving core, but they'll be in contention probably for the Big 12 again. It's gonna come down to the top four: y'all, UT, Oklahoma State, Baylor, Oklahoma. And funny enough, Baylor and Oklahoma are 10-9 respectively in the rankings. So 3 teams from the Big 12 in the top 11 of the poll. Oklahoma cracked the top 10. That's the only Big 12 team. But honestly, just looking at all these teams, I honestly feel like it's probably another year where the Big 12 doesn't get a team into the Big 12
most likely
the college football playoff.
Yeah, most likely.
Because we're probably gonna all take each other out and ruin it for one another. And so whoever's going into that championship game probably gonna have 1 or 2 losses already. And at that point, if Georgia and Alabama are undefeated, and then one of them can't be undefeated because they'll face up in the SEC championship. But then you got team like Notre Dame that might be able to sneak by, and they make it because they always got a soft ass schedule. And then Clemson, it's like it's gonna be tough for the Big 12 to get a team in. Like someone's gonna have to be dominant and probably go undefeated if we want to get a team in this year. I'm not gonna lie. And as far as looking at these teams, I don't think we do it this year. OU, they got Brent Venables now as their head coach. Like I said earlier, great defensive mind. So definitely should see some progression in how that defense plays. They got a quarterback I'm actually interested to see play. Because back in his, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it his prime, he had one of the smallest schools in the nation playing some of the best football. And to this day, they'll still say, they're national champions for that year because they went undefeated, but they didn't get a bid to the playoff. But Gabriel, transfer from UCF, he had that horrible injury a couple years ago, and then He came back last year, but it wasn't the same UCF team that he had previously. They weren't that talented, and he didn't have that great of a year. But I'm interested to see how he does for OU. We got Marvin Mims Jr. back. That's supposed to be the star wide receiver. Still got Kennedy Brooks, who, if you're gonna put Bijan Robinson as number one, which respectfully I can get behind that as number one back in the Big 12 conference. Kennedy Brooks is definitely number two.
Yeah, for sure.
OU definitely always has. OU is another school I would argue you could call them running back U.
You definitely could. They got a
AP, DeMarco Murray. Now got Joe Mixon on the Bengals, and their backup running back Samaje Perine. He was the starter in front of Mixon when they were there. Kenny Brooks, he falls right in that mold. Like, he just a guy who gets it done. And New England, the guy you mentioned on the AFC podcast, Ramondre Stevenson, he's from OU. So, like, OU definitely could make an argument for, running back you. But as far as one of these Big 12 teams making it into college football playoff, I don't see it happening. If I had to put my money on it, I think Baylor makes it to the Big 12 championship game.
I think Baylor too.
And it'd probably be at that point. Then it probably, because in the Big 12 there's no division. It's just the top two teams go. So it's literally just gonna be between UT, OU, and Oklahoma State. And it just kind of depends on, out of them three teams, who comes out with the best record versus each other. As long as nobody gets upset by Kansas this year. Had to throw in one more slug before we move off of them.
Man, that shit was crazy.
Yeah, man. Now let's get into this. We into the top 10, man. We into the top 10. Number 8. Now, this is actually the Pac-12 team I expect to make some noise because they returned a lot of their key starters. And they were a great team last year. They just choked in that Rose Bowl to Ohio State. And that's probably one of the best games in college football, if not the best game last year. That was a crazy game. But the Utah Utes, man, if you don't know about them, you should definitely tune into them. That's a solid program. They've been on the come up for a couple years now. And now it's kind of like, if they ever have a chance to really make it into the playoff, it's kind of like this year or maybe next year if you're lucky. But this year is kind of like, you got the talent to do it. You got to go do it. And they definitely got the talent to do it. And like I said, I don't think the Pac-12 is that strong as people are making it out to be. So I expect them to come out of the Pac-12 again this year. And if they're able to go undefeated, they should get a bid to the college football playoff based on the fact they were so good last year and they made it to the Rose Bowl. And like I said, they did choke, but they were whooping Ohio State all game until CJ Stroud and them boys made an amazing comeback with Marvin Harrison Jr. and them other receivers, man. Ohio State, we about to talk about them, boy. They're nice.
Yeah,
they're nice. But Utah Utes, man, like I said, I got that. They're my pick for the Pac-12. They're the favorite, so it's not like I'm going out on a limb to say that.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick like a dark horse team that could come out and make the playoffs this year, and it's like, what the hell? Like, where did they come from? Utah's got my vote. I think they got the team to do it. Not saying they're gonna win once they get there, but they got the roster and team where it's like they'll play so well in the regular season, it'll kind of be hard for voters to leave them out. I think they go undefeated this year, unless they slip up. But pull up their schedule right now just so I can give y'all what they got coming up. But
they definitely got the team to definitely go undefeated. It's gonna be very interesting. They like you said, they're a very good team. That game last year was nuts. That was a crazy ass game last year.
I remember I turned the game off because I was like, dang, Ohio State did not come to play today. Like I was disappointed. Like I understood because obviously Garrett Wilson and Olave, they didn't play because they chose to sit out for the draft. But I was like, man, I expected some more. left. I was doing something. I came back to TV and it's a one possession game. I'm like, now what is going on? Hold on. What have I missed? And from then on, it was just back and forth that whole fourth quarter. It was amazing. But Utah, they opened up the season at Florida. Florida, they're not ranked in the top 25, but
it's still Florida. Like
it's still Florida, and it's an SEC opponent. So they get that win in Gainesville. That's going to be good for their resume. Then San Diego State, they got them week 3. They're usually a pretty decent team. That'll be a good win. They got at UCLA. That'll be a good game to have on their schedule if they win. Then they go USC, and they got to go, or they get USC at home. Well, like I said, with Lincoln Riley, you're able to beat them even though, they're ranked lower than you. That's a resume building win right there because USC as of right now is a top 15 team.
Mm-hmm.
So they definitely, like, everything is there, like I was saying, on their schedule for them to, like, if they win and handle business, it's going to be hard to not include them into the college football playoffs. Now, what they do when they get there, that's a debate to be had. Like I said, Pac-12 not that strong, so they could definitely get waxed if they do face one of them stronger teams. But like I said, man, this is definitely their year to do it, if any. So I'm expecting great things out of Utah. And now, team we're probably both excited to talk about.
Oh,
man.
I'm ready. I got something.
Got something to get off my chest.
Get off my chest, man. Get off my chest.
Ranked at number 7, man. I'll open it like this. The most average college football program in all of college football history.
Thank you.
When you take in every factor, and they have some of the most annoying fans. They're on par with the Cowboys fans, where it's like, oh, this year we're gonna be the team, and they're never the team. They're consistently second place. Like, I've never seen a group of fans be more proud about being second year in and year out. And that's gig 'em, the Texas A&M Aggies, bro. Consistently average. And they get some of the best talent year in and year out.
It's crazy.
It literally goes like this for them. If they're going to beat Alabama that year, they're going to lose games they have no business losing. Or they're going to win games, and then they're going to lose to Alabama, so they can't make it. And then the fans will give you the same, well, we're in the SEC, the toughest conference in college football. Okay. Y'all been there for what, like 8-9 years now?
Literally.
Y'all still can't get over the hump. Y'all couldn't win when you were in the Big 12. So what was the excuse then? Now you've had recruiting classes, been able to get SEC talent. You still can't get over the hump. This year they had the number 1 rated recruiting class, and that's because we'll say if there's one thing they do have, they got some money. Them donors gonna pay.
Oh yeah, they got some money. They got some money now,
and they got great talent. So why they can't ever put it together? It beats me. And I just know this year, because I have Alabama coming out of the West again. I don't see them losing to A&M this year. Their excuse is gonna be, I can already see, well, you just had to give Jimbo time to build up the talent that he just brought in. That's always the fucking excuse.
Always.
They're literally paying this man $75 million to produce the same results as Kevin Sumlin.
Basically.
Like I said, man, they're the college football equivalent of the Dallas Cowboys. Year in, year out, their fans will tell you all preseason how great they're gonna be. This is finally the year. And then when it doesn't happen, they're gonna come with a shitload of excuses. Oh well, we're in the best conference. Oh well, we just didn't have the right quarterback. Oh well, the recruits still gotta get, they need to get some more experience. But Jimbo's got it together. Like, he's gonna get it together. Come on, man.
Yeah,
no.
Forgot that shit.
Go ahead. I know you want to go in on too. Go ahead and get your rant off, man.
My problem is, it's just like, okay, kids that are 5-stars and 4-star recruits. I'm all for, going to your college, having a good time, You want to go to college and stuff like that, but it's just like, why A&M? I don't get it. Why A&M? I literally just don't get it. There's other school. If you want to stay close to home, if you want to stay in Texas, there's other schools to go to. You don't gotta go to A&M. What the hell is it to do with A&M? Go to Northgate. Go to Northgate.
It's them donors. They paying them good down there. And I'm happy for them kids to get their money, but like
it don't even make sense though. It's like
I saw something funny. Jimbo had said he was like they interviewed and they're like, well, what is your recruiting pitch? Because y'all have never won, and he's like, well, I just tell them, like, would it feel better to join a already like a college football program that's already winning championships, or would you want to be the first at A&M to bring them a championship? It's like, okay, it sounds good, but y'all aren't gonna fucking bring them a championship.
Exactly, ever. They've never won one.
They've literally the national championship Texas A&M claims are like from the 1940s, where there was no conferences, no official title game at that. They just won the games they scheduled. Like, oh, hey, we're the national champions, and they didn't even start trying to claim those until recently. It's like, bro, y'all have 0 national championships.
Literally 0.
Nothing to be proud about, besides the fact you had Johnny Manziel at one point and he won the Heisman. They got a few good NFL players, but the NFL players, they're winning stuff at the NFL level or playing good then. When they're at A&M, you still didn't win jack shit.
And it's only a few NFL players. Other than that, it's like, I mean, when these kids get to the NFL from A&M, they don't be like, all of them don't be producing like guys from like LSU or like some kids from Bama. Like, they don't be like producing like that. And just like, I just don't understand it. Kids, why it can't be the facilities, because you could go get good facilities any other place.
Anywhere.
Like, bro, do you know how many schools is it in Texas? You go to TCU. You don't even gotta go to Texas if you don't like Texas. You go to TCU. You go to Baylor. You go to Texas Tech. It's so many schools. You go to SMU. You go to Baylor. It's so many schools in Texas. I just don't understand why A&M. It's not even nothing to do with College Station.
Bro,
it's nothing to do with College Station.
They're brainwashed down there, man.
It's crazy. It pisses me off. It really do. It pisses me off.
I just laugh at them because it's every year, like I said. Oh, this year's the year. Like I said earlier, we grew up with a lot of A&M fans, so they're always hyped to start off the year, and then
always hyped.
They just slowly but surely fall off the bus at the end of the year, and then they always say, "Well, next year is the year," and next year is never the year. Y'all are getting ripped off. Yes, y'all are getting the best recruits. Congrats, Jimbo's. Y'all getting your money's worth out of Jimbo. No, you're not. You're overpaying the man who's overhyped. Florida State won that national championship because they were just talented.
Mm-hmm.
Once Jameis and them boys was gone, what happened? They fell off, and what did Jimbo do? He got up out of there, and y'all gave him $75 million a red carpet opening to fucking College Station, and he hasn't done shit since. And last year, we beat Bama, or what was it? Who cares? Because then you lost games you shouldn't have.
Yes, we lose like what, Mississippi State or some shit like that.
Yeah, and then
lost to LSU last game.
And then this year, they'll probably win all their other games, but then they got to go to Alabama. And the fact they beat them last year, combined with all the shit Saban and Jimbo been going through this year,
you know Saban gonna be ready.
Them boys gonna be ready. Alabama finna whoop the shit out of them, and I guarantee that. You know how Charles, I guarantee they gonna whoop the shit out of y'all. And if anybody got a problem with it, put your money where your mouth is. Y'all know where to find me at, man. I hate Texas A&M with a passion.
Oh, me too, with a passion. I can't wait for that game because they're gonna get, like you said, they're gonna get the hell beat out of them.
And then they're gonna have the excuse. I'm telling you, as soon as it happens, they're gonna be like, well, just wait till next year. It's gonna be the second year for this top recruiting class, and we got another top recruiting class coming in. Like, Jimbo finally gonna get it right. Like, no, man. Jimbo's not the guy that's gonna lead y'all to the promised land. I know y'all want to believe it, but it's just not gonna happen. He's doing the same thing Kevin Sumlin did, and y'all got rid of Kevin Sumlin. I wonder why. And I wonder why y'all have so much faith in Jimbo, good old Jimbo. He's not gonna get the job done.
It must be the name.
It must be the name.
It must be the name.
Maybe the appearance. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing things. Man. Number 6. Got them boys up north. The team up north, as Ohio State calls them. Michigan, man. Like I said, last year they finally broke through. Props to them.
Shit, about damn time.
About damn time,
about
right?
damn time, shit.
Because I was starting to, like, if they didn't make it last year, Harbaugh was definitely about to get fired.
Oh yeah, I was raising the eyebrow at him.
That's another team. Them and Texas A&M are kind of at the same level, where it's like y'all get talent year in and year out, yet y'all never produce.
Never.
And finally, last year they got over the hump, but then they got whooped. But I mean, it is what it is. One step at a time, I guess. But now this year, I don't know if they're able to get Ohio State, because they got to go to Ohio State, and like last year, okay, they beat them. But I think that was like Harbaugh's first win against them in what, like 7-8 tries.
Yeah, it was.
So if I'm gonna go off the statistical probabilities of them beating Ohio State again, and it's at the shoe,
it's probably not good.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And as much as Harbaugh is an offensive genius, I guess, and a quarterback coach, they still got like 2 quarterbacks. Like,
that shit's not gonna work.
It's not working. It's
in
not
football. Football, you're just not gonna win like that in football, man. Like, you're not finna use 2 quarterbacks. It's not high school. You're not finna use 2 quarterbacks and think you about to beat these top dogs. Like, like, these guys watch film. They know what you about to do with one quarterback that you're not about to do with the other. Come on, man.
And literally, the 2 quarterbacks are both distinctly different. McNamara, he can run a little bit. He kind of throw. The other one, he can run. Like, what's going on.
What's going on.
And not to mention, they lost number 2 pick in the draft, Hutchinson. He's gone. Ojabo gone. Like, yeah, they got pieces there to help rebuild, but like, they're ranked 6. They'll probably win some games, but I think they're gonna have one of them Harbaugh years where it's like they should have been better. And I mean, I guess maybe last year saved them, like I said, but if they don't win this year, do they still maybe say like, okay, fire him? Because it's like, at that point, what more do you need to see? Like they say, you can't do the same thing you can't do the same thing expecting a different result. So like, at the end of the day, who Harbaugh is, what his teams are about. Last year was probably the anomaly. This year, they probably go back to the average of what they usually do. And that's not win the games they're supposed to, and they're not going to be able to beat Ohio State. And if they do, luck up and beat Ohio State or whatever, I still don't see them making it in the college football playoff again. Because if it's one thing Harbaugh going to do, is lose the biggest games.
Yeah, for sure. He gonna lose that motherfucker. Like, he'll lose to Wisconsin off some dumb shit. He'll do some crazy shit, man.
Yeah. And then number 5, we got another team. Like, these last 3 teams, these probably the most aggravating college football programs in the whole nation. Notre Dame, the team with no conference, team who gets to set up their schedule year in, year out, still has hella cupcakes. I think this year they open up. They're going to Ohio State.
Ohio State.
And, I mean, I guess it's going to be a top 5 matchup. But I think Ohio State's going to wax them.
Probably
now,
so.
I will say I'm rooting for Notre Dame. They got a new head coach, former player, a black guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish him nothing but the best. But at the end of the day, it's Notre Dame.
Ass whoop.
And it's just another one of them quarterbacks. Like, you know what you're gonna get. Like, yes, you might make it to the college football playoff because you had such a soft schedule. But we know what you're going to do once you get there, and it's not win. You're not going to win. You're not one of those top football programs, even though they want to make the case for that year in, year out. Like, they're not going to do it. And this year, like I said, they got to open up at Ohio State. They got to play Clemson too, even though I don't necessarily think Clemson is that great and they're ranked they're next up at 4. And they end the season at USC. Those are definitely 3 games I could see them losing. Because I don't think they're as good as the hype is. But yet, year in and year out, they're put at the top of the rankings. And they never fill out. Like, it's one of those things, they're kind of like Gonzaga in NCAA men's. Vegas probably makes hella money on preseason bets for them that are never going to cash out. Like, if you're putting money on Notre Dame to win the national championship year in and year out, you need to reevaluate some things in life. Because why are you just giving away free money at that point? Because that's never going to happen. Never. So if you're listening to this and you were about to, think I might, there's some good odds. I might go sprinkle on Notre Dame.
Notre Dame look good. Notre Dame look
Go
good.
put that money in an investment account or something. Or keep it in your savings, man. Go be smart with that money. Do not go bet it on Notre Dame. You know what you're going to get. And it's not a national championship, man. Not going to get that whatsoever. And at 4, got Clemson, man. Now, like I said earlier, they're projected to have a top 5 defense. And I don't doubt that. But as far as the offense goes,
still got that guy.
DJ Ukulele, or however you pronounce it.
He just doesn't do it for me.
He's not good. And it's tough for him because, like, he's literally following 2 of their 2 best quarterbacks in their program history behind Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson before him, who both brought Clemson national championship. So obviously, you now have to live up to that standard. But he's not cut out for that. He's just not that good. And so if they are to win, which they can definitely do it because their schedule is pretty easy, they're going to have to be carried by that defense, and he's just going to have to game manage and do just enough. But when it comes down to if they have to play a Georgia or Alabama, Bryce Young, way better. So I'm going to put more faith in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, I just got more faith in them as a program right now. And like I said, they lost Venables as well. So I don't even know, like, their defense is projected to be top 5, but Venables has been their defense coordinator for, like, basically their whole little dynasty run since they've kind of got things going down there. And now he's gone, so I definitely think that plays a role in how well they play.
Mm-hmm.
So they might, luck out and make it to the college football playoff. And honestly, I know it probably won't happen, but if there was any year to do it, these top 4 teams in the coaches preseason poll, I think those are just going to be the top 4 teams at the end of the year. Like, I just think it's one of them years where there's not too many talent other places. And like we said, it could definitely be a surprise. So if there's a surprise, I'll give them their props at that time. But as far as that, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, it's probably going to be the 4 college football playoff teams.
Most likely.
And as foreign as it is, we're like, the same few teams. It's like, well, I mean, somebody got to beat them and nobody's doing it. So if you can't beat them, shut up. Texas A&M, shut up. Like, you can't beat them, shut up. Michigan, if you're not going to handle business, they did last year. Let's see if they can do it again. Probably not. Notre Dame, like I said, you know what you're getting with them. None of these other teams are going to be able to beat them. And like I said, the Big 12, the best Big 12 teams like OU, Oklahoma State, Baylor, this year, probably Texas, they can beat the other teams in the SEC. But when it comes down to beating them Alabama, Georgia teams,
top dogs, yeah.
they're not cut out to do it yet.
They don't got those I'm telling you, it's really about them big hogs. It's really about the offensive line. It's really about the defensive line. And those guys for like the Big 12, those guys are just not as built like them SEC guys. Them SEC guys, they are pro ready. That's what I'm trying to say. Like those guys are pro ready.
And that's why
And
you see a team like Georgia send 15 players into the draft this year.
mm,
And Alabama doing it year in and year out. Like they're
mm,
literally just they're programs that are gateways to the NFL at this point.
at this point, yeah.
And they're the best programs, and they're gonna continue to be the best programs, especially with these NIL deals now. Because now it's
Oh,
like
it just made it so easier.
I'm already like, as long as them players go there and handle their business, they're already almost guaranteed a spot to the NFL, and now they can make good money for doing it. Like I was reading up on the NIL sub. Alabama, I think like their average for the NIL that their players can make is like 114K. As an 18-year-old, if I can make six figures
6 figures, man. Just
while
playing
chasing my
football.
NFL dream, where do you think I'm gonna go? Fucking
Exactly.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Texas A&M at 85K as of right now, from what I was reading. Like, yeah, that's why they're going to College Station. I can't blame them. But as far as producing wins when it counts, they're not doing that. So yeah, y'all can have the best paid players and the best recruiting classes, but if it don't translate to winning the national championship, stop talking about being one of the better football programs year in year out. Because as
Exactly.
Ricky Bobby said, if you ain't
Ain't
first,
first, your
you're
last.
last.
Exactly.
Second place is the first loser. And that's what they are year in and year out, man. So Georgia at 3. They had a lot of talent leave, but like I said, man, Kirby Smart
It's,
got that program right where they need to be.
they still gonna be there.
They're still gonna be there. They still got Stetson Bennett at quarterback. And even though
I'm not a big fan of
I'm
his,
not a
but I
big fan
mean,
of his, but I mean, he's a national championship winning
yeah, he
quarterback,
gets
and
he gets it done. So
he gets it done. He's a game manager. He
yeah,
does what he needs to do, and he doesn't make too many mistakes to keep them from winning. And last year with that top rated defense, all he had to do was just take care of the ball, and they handle business. I think I will say, like, it was kind of like they were kind of just due for a win finally. But at the same time, I think, if Alabama doesn't have injuries to their top 2 wide receivers, I definitely think Bryce Young and them boys would have beat them again. It's
most
just,
likely.
but I mean, that's a what if. So
Yeah, so you
props to
can't.
Georgia. They won it. But they come in at number 3. Number 2, Ohio State. Like I said earlier, man. Because I think Bryce Young is probably gonna have another great year, but I
He
don't think
should.
they're gonna give him the Heisman again. Cause what I don't think anybody's won the Heisman twice since what Tebow, or been in contention for it like that. Besides
Mm,
Tim Tebow,
I think yeah, Tebow, because Johnny came close, huh?
yeah, I guess Johnny Manziel is probably the closest to come to it after that, but he didn't.
He didn't.
And
Man.
like I said, I don't think voters will do that. And so my pick for the Heisman Trophy this year, as long as he does what he did last year, man,
Shit.
CJ Stroud, man. Woo! That boy can ball. And
Might be the first great Ohio State quarterback, man.
depending on what situation he go to, because I mean,
Yeah.
Fields could have been, but the way Chicago looking, that man never
Ooh.
gonna have a chance for a good NFL career.
Not looking good.
But CJ Stroud, and I get it, man. People are gonna be like, well, they lost Olave and they lost Garrett Wilson. Like, no, man.
Trust me, it's always got in
They
college
got a
football.
pipeline to wide
Yeah.
receivers at Ohio State, man. They
In,
always got the best wide receivers.
in college sports, there's always some kid that's just gonna pop up out of nowhere. You're gonna be like, who the hell is he? And like you said, Ohio State got pipeline receivers. Someone gonna pop up out of nowhere.
Man, and the crazy thing is, like, as good as Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave are, top 15 picks in the NFL draft this year, you can make the argument they weren't even the best receivers on the team last year. Because Jackson Smith, Jigba,
Oh yeah, that boy nice.
cold,
That boy nice.
cold, y'all. If you just want to get a glimpse at how good he is, go watch the last year's Rose Bowl game and just watch him torch Utah's defense. He's the reason they came back. Him and C.J. Stroud just started cooking. Matter of fact, I'm going to go look up his stats from that game. Because, boy, he's cold. And then at receiver 2, he can arguably be receiver 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. If y'all keep up with the NFL, y'all remember back in those Indy days with Peyton Manning, his go-to guy besides Reggie Wayne was Marvin Harrison. Now his son is up and coming. And he's probably better than his dad, which is crazy to say. And he's also at Ohio State. So like we said, Ohio State wide receiver you, man. It don't matter who they lose. They gonna have people there. It don't matter. Like, they gonna be there. And like I said, as long as they handle their business, man, I got CJ Stroud winning the Heisman. And I think we might mess around and get a repeat of that 2021, I guess, college football, the COVID year where Alabama played Ohio State in the national championship. I think we might get a rematch of that. And right now, I have my money, like, we're about to talk about Alabama. They're obviously ranked number 1. I got my money on Alabama winning this year. I just think, last year left a sour taste in their mouth. But if they were to lose, Ohio State could definitely do it if their defense can play how they're supposed to. But man, CJ Stroud, he put up, I want to say 44 touchdowns with 6 INTs last year.
Man.
And that was second for the Heisman because Bryce Young just played that well. If he repeats that this year and they went, like, part of the reason, too, that helped, Bryce Young get the Heisman over him, because Alabama was a better team and they made it to the college football playoff. Ohio State's defense was trash last year. So as bad as, or as good as CJ Stroud was, he just couldn't overcome that. But this year, if they're able to win, I'm telling y'all, man, lock it in right now. Heisman Trophy winner, CJ Stroud. Because it's probably going to go to a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae Smith was just like an anomaly year. Like, he had a great season. He deserved it. But I don't see anybody coming out, like a wide receiver or running back coming out the woodworks anywhere and doing that, especially if a quarterback going to put up numbers like 44 touchdowns and 6 INTs and then win, like, and they're winning games. Like, it's going to go to a quarterback at that point in time. So, but man. And now we can touch on the Alabama boys, man. That boy Bryce Young, he's probably going, if it's not CJ Stroud.
It'd be Bryce Young.
Yeah, and like I said on the NFC podcast, it's probably going to be Seattle with the number 1 pick. I think they're going to tank for that so they can get a quarterback. But I mean, even if they're not number 1, you're going to either be able to get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. And you can't go wrong with either pick.
Either one.
And I guess you make the argument. I mean, people make the argument about both teams or both programs that their quarterbacks flame out in the NFL like they're never that good. But Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are different, in my opinion. And I don't care what they say. I think both of them are going to be good NFL quarterbacks. Maybe not to start off with because they're going to be on some terrible teams. But I think they'll both have some solid NFL careers, man. But
I can definitely see that. Definitely see that for sure, man. The thing with Bama, man, it's just they there every damn year, and it gets exhausting. Like just seeing them there. It's just like, damn, y'all here again. Let somebody else win. But it's
Texas A&M begging them, please let us win. Like, they just beg. Texas A&M gonna have to capitalize on a year where Texas A&M, where Alabama just falls off and they lose 3 games. Problem is, that's not happening.
It's not happening.
They're always losing 1 or 2 games at most. And if Alabama loses 2 games, but then they still mess around and win the SEC championship, them college voters are going to put them right back in the playoff.
Yeah.
And then they'll go on to win the championship or be in the championship game, man. It is what it is. Like, last year they lose to Georgia. Year before that, they beat Ohio State. Year before that, LSU was finally the better team, so they were able to knock them out of contention. The year before that, what was it? They made it to like 3 or 4 in a row and won 2 of those. Like, they're just greatest football run in college football history, greatest dynasty in college football history. Nick Saban, the best coach in college football history. They're literally the best, the GOAT college football program at this point.
There's no way around it.
And they won't fall off ever until Nick Saban just decides, I'll just retire. And at that, I don't even think he's even retiring at least in the next 5-10 years.
Retire for what?
Exactly. He winning and making money. The only thing that would probably make him retire is if he just got tired of winning.
Yeah, exactly.
But like that's about it. So I got them, and I know it's like, well, that's the easy pick, Alabama. Well, yeah, it is.
Easy to pick.
It is because the easy fucking pick, and I don't see anybody else happen. It's gonna happen.
Let's go.
I got them winning the national championship this year, and they got more motivation than ever because I didn't even realize. I was reading an article yesterday. I guess the loser of the college football championship, they send them a second place trophy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Alabama has the trophy up in their trophy case, and it says participation trophy. And they got to walk by and look at that every day. And like, it was there, and then one of the coaches took it and broke it. Like, obviously nobody had a problem with it because nobody want to look at that. But that's what they had it listed as a participation trophy. It's like, man, we really lost. Like, we got to get back to the top now.
Yeah.
And Bryce Young at the helm. Now they got all that talent. Like, it was probably the best thing for them. Like, not the best thing to lose a national championship game, but last year their 2 top receivers in Jameson Williams and Mechie go out before that game, and Williams in the championship game. So they had some young guys have to step in, and they weren't ready to play. But getting that experience and that taste in their mouth, coming back this year, they're going to ball out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting my money on Alabama to win the championship. It don't matter.
I'm right there with you because it's like, yeah, it's the easy choice because it's probably going to happen.
It's probably going to happen. And like I said, the one team I can see beating them is probably Ohio State. I don't think Georgia has enough talent on the defensive end this year to be able to contend with them. But I mean, when they face up or when they match up in the SEC championship, it's going to be a good game. I just think Alabama will pull it out at the end of the day. But if Georgia's not able to get them, even if Georgia does get them, I think they'll still mess around and make it to the college football playoff, and then they'll beat everybody else there and be right back in the championship game. And I actually already have a preseason bet locked in for them that I put money on. I'll give y'all this pick. They got Alabama at over 11.5 wins this season, plus 130. I'll take that with them odds every day. So I'll put money on it, man. So if you need one lock from that, or really, 2 locks, CJ Stroud plus 200, Heisman Trophy winner. Alabama over 11.5 wins plus 130. Those are my 2 preseason college football picks. Lock that shit in, man. 11.5 wins.
Easy.
That's you know how we be saying Vegas might be setting us up or something. Man, 11.5? That literally means even if because like I said, if they lose one game, that put them at 11-1. They're gonna go to the college football playoff, and they're gonna win there.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that wouldn't necessarily count. They have to go undefeated in the regular season because it's regular season win total. But they're gonna go undefeated in the regular season. I don't see them getting upset. Like, it literally just have to be an upset, and I don't think it's coming from Texas A&M. And that's probably going to be their hardest game. And like I said, A&M got them last year, but then they didn't take care of business on their other games. So it's like, y'all want props for beating them, but then y'all can't win the games y'all are supposed to win. Now this year they'll probably win the games they're supposed to win, but because of last year, Alabama's gonna stomp a hole in them. So, hey man, it is what it is. Like I said, Alabama over 11.5. Lock that shit in.
Lock that shit in.
They,
Easily, man.
I guess, I mean, an early season game that could be maybe a little competition. They gotta travel to y'all the second game. But I'm sorry,
They're gonna have to play for that game.
they gonna have to
We're gonna be
play. But
ready.
I think they gonna win the game at the end of the day. I'm not,
They
trying to
they
knock on
probably
it.
they probably will win it. But
Yeah,
they gonna have to come play because we gonna have it we gonna have it jumping in there for sure.
yeah.
I
They
just feel
gotta
like
go.
one of our first times ever playing Alabama like in a while, I think. But
Yeah, y'all haven't played them since what, the 09 championship game?
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
In a
so
minute.
they go to Arkansas 2 weeks after that. Tough game. Alabama will still win it.
Yeah.
That next week, October 8th, Texas A&M at home in Tuscaloosa.
I'm gonna beat the shit out of him.
Gonna be rocking.
I can't wait too.
That's gonna be the most hyped up game of the year, just because all the offseason drama with them, with Saban and Jimbo. They gonna be ready to play that game
For sure.
Bryce Young might go for 6 TDs that game on some crazy. So I just feel like they gonna really whoop the shit out of them this year. And then other than that, they gotta go at LSU towards the end of the season. Another tough game, but a very much winnable game. So yeah, man. As long as they don't get upset, 12-0.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I could definitely see it.
And they'll probably just go undefeated and win the championship this year. That's how I'm gonna end it off, man. Alabama, what is that? 15-0, national champions. Lock that shit in, man. It's easy as that, man. It's that simple. Don't fight it.
Yeah, like don't think about it too hard. Like
It's
Alabama. They coming back from just losing last year. They got a lot to play for this year.
And they
Them guys be
returned
ready.
a lot of that talent. Got their Heisman winning QB, Bryce Young. Yes, it's the easy pick, but it's the right pick. You would be a fool to think otherwise. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And with that, that's a wrap on episode what's this? Is this episode 5 or 6 now?
I don't know. I didn't lost count. I think it's 5.
It's 5. Yeah, it's 5. It's 5 because we did 2 top 10s AFC and so to wrap on episode 5, man.
Yes,
You know what it is. It's your kids from the neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
We're knocking at your door. College football preview dropping soon, man. Can't wait for y'all to hear it. Another episode in the books. Boy Bryce, my guy Kale.
Yes, sir.
We out of
I need it.